everyone. Welcome back to the War Room. I am your fight goddess, Chris Baldwin, and I am back in the War Room today with my brothers from another mother, Mr. Doug Betts. He is the founder of Black Coffee Professionals, and I'm in the War Room with Mr. Callie Kellup. He's also part of the Black Coffee Professionals team. Doug, I want to talk to you just to say, hey, congratulations. You launched the BCP. It's a huge success. I know the Facebook group is growing. So just share a little bit again what this group is all about and the purpose and why you decided to launch this organization.
Okay, so first of all, thanks for inviting me to the show, Christina. I'm very excited about what's happening with BCP. Since we initially relaunched my group, and it's going back a little bit for those who are not familiar with what we are in a history, some 5 years ago, during the height of COVID, we had the idea, myself and a few other professionals, to launch a Black network, a Black professional network that would reach out to each other online nationwide and develop branches in every city for the purpose of cross promotion and the growth of Black businesses and Black entrepreneurship. Okay, so we had, during the COVID, everything just shut down. You know how things went. We tried doing virtual online, and it is kind of like, the participation just was not there because we didn't know what was happening. COVID kind of like just threw everybody into a hizzy. So what happened since that time with this new administration and the attack that has went on with Black businesses and the Black community in general, with defunding of various programs and grants for Black businesses and Black colleges, Black student scholarships, the defunding and elimination of DEI. It was imperative for us to reach out to each other, as we have done historically, even before integration, when we had nobody else to depend on but ourselves. So the focus and the primary purpose of BCP is to promote Black businesses and to get the Black community to repattern their buying habits to think Black first. It's not that we're going to totally exclude our spending our dollars toward any other businesses that's non-Black owned, but we want you to consider the Black businesses in your area and where you can purchase and buy from a Black business owner, Black vendor.
Right.
So our first meeting we had in April, I think, was a great success. We had some powerful speakers, including Callie. And we are going to have our second meeting in June. What we want to do is a couple of things. We want to spotlight and highlight the services of Black people. We want to educate our people in the areas of savings,
Financial literacy, right?
financial literacy, buying habits, debt reduction, things that are going to generate wealth, things that are going to eliminate debt, things that are going to make us financially sound. Because when we are able to do this and grasp a hold of that, then as a community at large, we can advance. So with that being said, I'm going to turn it back over to you. And I'm excited to hear the information that we got from my brother here, Kelly Kellup.
All right. Thank you, Doug. Yeah, it was a very powerful session. I loved every person that we had on there had a very powerful story to share and just information that we need as a community. So, Callie, let's talk about, your background a little bit. How did you get into financial services? And I know now you're talking to a lot of Black and brown folks about estate planning. Tell us, a little bit about yourself, and then why are you focused so much on estate planning?
Yeah, well, growing up in the Los Angeles South Central area, as a youth, seeing a lot of my friends and family members pass away, it lit a fire in me to find out, what can I do in order to help to negate some of the shortfalls that I was seeing that was happening with people, needing to be buried and things of that nature. So I was interested in getting into some form of financial services. I didn't know if it was going to be investments or what it was going to be in life insurance, but I started educating myself on the industry as a whole, and then was approached by a company um, in order to get my license for life insurance, which was New York Life. And I've been in the industry for over 15 years now. And in the process of me getting my licenses and getting educated, I was noticing that in our particular community, there was a lack of estate planning. There was a lack of conversations about wills and trust. There was a lack of conversation about creating true legacies. So in doing so, and in getting all this information and getting the data over the years, I realized that it's up to people like us to go out into our communities and educate, our friends and our families on a lot of these resources that are available to us in regards to estate planning, setting up a proper will and trust, because we just didn't know. So yeah, 15 years in the business now, and I've been helping, lots of families to establish um, these insurance products in order to help their family trust and create, formal legacies for them.
Have you had any families that have come to thank you for taking your advice, heeding your advice, creating generational wealth in their own families?
Yes, yes. My own family was one of the first. My grandparents. This is back when I first got started. My grandparents were still alive at that time. And, I would have conversations with them about it, about life insurance and stuff like that, and let my grandfather and grandmother know that, hey, I was going to pursue a career in life insurance, and had the conversations about, trust and things of that nature. And my grandparents established the trust for their legacy and for my family. So, and seeing how they structured theirs and how they set things up for us, it made it more imperative for me to be able to go out and spread that message. So it became a part of religion to me. My grandparents were very religious people, and they believed in the true meaning of stewardship when it comes to your finances, because we're responsible for our financial houses as well as, protecting and taking care of our families. So finance is something that isn't really talked about in the Black community enough. I think it's kind of like it's almost like taboo. Some people don't like to talk about their money, so you might have, 5 family members under the same roof, but nobody really knows what the other one is doing with their money or where is it going. So you have money going out, but no money coming in. And we know the
Mm,
story about how long a dollar lasts within the Black community. It really doesn't stay long because we're going out and spending in other communities. So um, I made it my mission to be able to go out and share the good word when it comes to financial stewardship, because there's nothing wrong with wanting to accumulate money and wealth. It's knowing what to do with it once it's been accumulated and how you're going to provide, help to others.
absolutely. And when we talk about keeping the Black dollar in the Black community, most people don't know that our Black dollar should circulate in the Black community 8 to 12 times, if that's what I remember Dr. Claude Anderson talking about. 8 to 12 times before it leaves the Black community. So,
Yeah.
yeah, we want to encourage Black folks to spend it. And, I already know what some people are going to say. It's hard to, support our Black business. Well, find the
Ooh,
Black
Lord.
businesses too that are doing the proper thing, that have great customer service, that have a great product. And that way you can feel good about where you're placing your Black dollar. Doug, do you want to speak to that at all?
Yeah, and that's very true. And sometimes we, especially depending on where you live, if you're in a city like Los Angeles or Chicago or New York, it may be easier to find a Black-owned business for certain services, but it's less likely depending if you're in a rural area or rural community.
Right.
Now, with the onset of the internet, it makes it easier to do a search. You can search for it. There are websites. We have a collaboration with buyblack.org. We do cross promotion. That's a online
Great
website
resource. Hmm.
resource for Black businesses. I know Etsy, and if there's another one I've highlighted on my page, Etsy.com. They are almost the equivalent of Amazon. There's exclusively a Black-owned business with merchandise and services that you can go and purchase. I purchased several pieces of merchandise from that site, but as well as just Yelp is another a tool that you and resource you can use. So there are sites that are available. If you come onto our page on Facebook, and we can and just come on to us. We can put you in contact. Just put a questionnaire on where can I find a black merchant for this area, service, everything. We will do a search for you. But also as I mentioned before, buyblack.org is another resource tool that you can use, as well as others. There are other blackjunction.com. There's several sites that you can utilize to find black-owned businesses. The point is we have to go out there and actively look and search for them.
Right. That's a black. I love buyblack.org. It's a great resource for us. Callie, I want to go back to you. Can you tell me a little bit about how can life insurance be a tool for building generational wealth in our community?
Well, the first thing is knowing what life insurance is and how it works. I think a lot of us within our communities, we were never, educated on how life insurance works,
Right.
how money works. So a lot of us would purchase life insurance, like my grandparents or in their generation. Of course, they purchase life insurance for the death benefit, what I want to leave behind, and things of that nature. But even with doing that, there's a certain way that you want to leave your beneficiaries with the insurance policy. So uh, uh, part of the equation that was never filled in was the trust, the will parts. So yes, starting a life insurance policy to leave your beneficiaries, your family, is a great idea, and it's something that everyone who is responsible with kids and a family, they should have life insurance. But the other part of that equation is the trust. So the trust will make sure and ensure that your wishes are carried out accordingly, whether you're here or not, so that your kids or your beneficiaries, they won't run out of money. They won't blow the money. They won't spend it on things they shouldn't be spending it on, because you could have that stipulated inside of the trust with the will, and things of that nature. So yeah, I just think just having life insurance and having it, structured properly, um, is the way for you to leave your legacy and in accordance with what your wishes are.
Right. Who would be executing that trust, though, for a family? Who would be in charge of the fiduciary responsibility for that? Who's that person?
Well, the person that will put the trust together is an attorney. So you have to have a qualified attorney that will put together the will and the trust for you. We do the financial part when it
Okay.
comes to setting up the policy and how it's structured. But as far as the wording in the trust and the will, they have organizations um, like Legal Shield and things of that nature that can kind of instruct you on how to properly put together a trust. If you're not really understanding of how to word it, put it together, they do have resources for that.
Okay.
Kelly, you mind if I ask you a question? So, like,
Mhm.
say, for instance, I have a $500,000 life insurance policy. I want to leave it to my kids because I want them to go to college, but I'm
Right,
afraid they. I don't want them to blow all this money on cars and nightclubs and drinks. I want them
right.
to go to college. You're saying that with the trust and everything, I can structure this life insurance policy that they want to spend their money on certain things. They would get like a monthly stipend, whatever, so they don't blow through the money in a year. You go,
Most definitely.
okay,
Most
Mm.
definitely. We've seen this in our communities far too often, where people will inherit houses, money, and years later they've sold the house. They've spent all the money. So a proper trust would ensure that those things never happen. You can't sell the home. That's in the trust. That family members, you could have it set up to where, it's a safe haven for other family members who are trying to establish themselves to buy their own house. And if the trust is set up properly, the trust will protect, the family's, integrity, so to speak. Even when it comes to spending habits, the trust will ensure that your kids aren't blowing the money on fast cars and women out and about.
Hmm.
So those are things that you can stipulate in the trust. And then once you take it steps further, you have two different types of trust. You have irrevocable and you have revocable. Now, from my knowledge and my understanding, you know, irrevocable is typically the one that is going to secure the legacy, you know, as the foundation because nobody can dispute it. It's in stone. Once it's written, that's what it is,
And they
and it's
can't
to be
change
carried
it.
out,
Right.
and
They
they can't
can't
change
change
it.
it. Right.
So that's like that goes back to the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, and all of these wealthy families that created their fortunes for generations, 5 and 6 and 7 generations later. They built their trust irrevocable, so nobody can dispute it. Nobody can come in and change it. Your kids, nobody. So as certain things are stipulated, those things have to be completed in order for you to get access to the trust. So whether it's your kids going to college and finishing 4 years or getting a degree, those are things that you can have put in the trust so that it will ensure that the kids are doing the proper things in accordance to what your wishes were.
Right. That to me is like, and as a matter of fact, it sounds like the most logical thing to do for families, right? Who are really serious about building generational wealth and leaving something for the kids.
Yes.
Um, Doug, did you want to add anything to that?
Now, I'm familiar with that. Again, Callie and I, we come from the same background as well as you, Christina. Um, I've instructed clients of mine who had life insurance policies. They've left it to minors. They didn't trust certain members of family. They wanted to make sure
Right.
the kids did. And I had to tell them, listen, if you leave your life insurance beneficiary to your minor child, you die before that child turns 18. Do you understand that they are not going to get that money? That money's going to be held until their 18th birthday. And that could be years, depending on when, the eventuality, whenever that happens. So you do not want to do that. I think what Callie's saying is very, very important, useful information, something that our community needs to hear. Because a lot of people don't understand the concept of how these things can work on behalf and save them headaches down the road.
Hmm.
And
And probate, right? And
Yes,
probate.
exactly.
probate is the
I've known
biggest.
people who
Man,
like they won't leave a person as a beneficiary because they don't trust that individual, but they want them to benefit from the life insurance. Well, if you want them to benefit from the life insurance, but you're scared to leave them to them because you don't think they're
right.
responsible or mature enough to handle it, then what do you do?
Right.
And so, yeah, so then this comes into play. We need to know what are the mechanics and the avenues and the resources and tools we can use to make sure that this money that I've worked hard for to put in this product can go for what I want to go for when I'm going from this earth.
Definitely, definitely. Like going back to what Chris was saying, probate, you're dealing with estate taxes, you're
Mm.
dealing with, debt, you're dealing with expired debt, creditors trying to come after you. So you're protecting your family and the legacy that you're creating from those things. So you don't want your debt to fall over to your children or the person that you're leaving an inheritance to. So the trust is probably the most secure way for you to structure um, an inheritance and a foundation for those that you're leaving behind.
Yeah. What's the average price for a trust these days?
Ooh, I mean, it depends on what type of trust. So, on that side, I'm not here to give legal advice or anything, but I think the more expensive one would be the irrevocable because once it's
Right.
well I wouldn't say the irrevocable, excuse me, the revocable would be the more expensive because that's the one that you're going to continually make changes
Update.
to.
Right. Right.
Yeah, you're going to continually update that one. So I would say that the revocable is probably going to cost more. I'm not for certain, so don't quote me on that. But I think over time it will be more expensive because you will be making modifications to it as time
Right.
goes on. And then, like I said, depending on how you structure your trust, you can use it to take care of your elders in medical situations. You can use it to fund kids' college funding. So
Can
instead
you
of
can you fund long-term care with a trust?
yes, most definitely, most definitely,
Okay.
you can structure it any way you want, and the money within the trust can finance many other investments and projects for the family. So you're creating a family legacy bank, is what you're doing.
Okay.
So it's not out of the realm of possibility for us to be able to leverage a trust and be able to create generational wealth, fund educations, give scholarships, business loans to our family members, where we don't have to go to outside institutions to look for loans and get denied. We can borrow it from the family.
That's what I'm talking about right there. Because what you're saying is you can insert policies like a life insurance policy that's going to build wealth over time because of compound interest. it's
Most definitely.
under the trust, so
Yep.
people in the trust can benefit from it as
Most
those
definitely.
policies grow and mature over time because you can borrow from life insurance policies tax free, right?
The thing is, people don't understand. We technically don't own anything in this life.
Mm,
That's number one. Just because you put your name on a piece of paper, we can't take none of this stuff with us. We don't own nothing. So I don't I look at a trust as you're taking your name out of the equation and now you're allowing yourself to be
right.
free of those obligations and things that hold you
Mm,
back because
mm-hmm.
the trust is going to secure everything for you. It's going to pretty much be your GPS.
Right. That's fantastic information. So, where can we find out more information about how to get a trust going? Where do we find more information about you and your services?
Well, you can if you don't have an estate planning attorney or somebody that you can contact, we do have um, we do have a network that we've built where we work with estate planning attorneys and who structure these different wills and trusts, and we can also refer you to companies who have lower costing programs that gives you access to some of these documents and being able to
Hmm.
review them and being able to get the information. You can find me on Facebook, Kali Omar Kellup. It's spelled just like my name is spelled on the screen, KaliOmarKellup. You can find me on Instagram, The Insurance Tailor. That is my catch name on Instagram. On BCP, of course, you can get all of our contact information and resources through the business Black Coffee Professionals. So if you tap into our network, you will have access to these resources, and we're building the network up now. So we're going to have many more um, other resources connecting. So whether it's you know uh, tax tax strategies, mortgage information, you name it, we're going to have it in the network. So I just encourage everybody to tap in with us, and get this information so that we can start spreading the word.
Absolutely. Doug, do you want to piggyback on anything that Callie said about estate planning? And if not, then go ahead and give folks your
Yeah,
socials and
so
where we can find you.
just so quickly, just Callie, thanks very much for sharing that information, brother. I will say this: I think that there's a misconception in the Black community that in order to build generational wealth, in order to take care of your family, you have to have been born into it, and that's not the case.
Mm-mm.
I think we overlook the fact that in the Black community, we spend $1.8 trillion in merchandise and in consumable goods, and that that money could be utilized uh, in leaving a legacy and building wealth for our family. And I say wealth, I'm talking about leaving something that our kids can be comfortable with, a legacy, a foundation, property, land, insurance.
Right.
It's not to say that having cars, having homes, having nice clothes are not good things. I'm not disputing that. I'm saying that we need to understand that there's a buying power that we have, that we need to take some of that money and put it towards something that's going to last longer and appreciate in value versus things
Right.
that depreciate in value. Um, as far as I'm concerned, you can find me on Doug Betts on Facebook. You can email me at dougbenefits65 at gmail.com. Look for Black Coffee Professionals. If you come on Facebook and come to me, I will send you an invite to our group. If you want to support Black businesses, or if you have a Black business, or you are a Black entrepreneur with service to offer to the community, we want to be able to cross promote and share your information to those who are interested. And or call me 619-554-2492.
All right. All right. Well, gentlemen, it has been a pleasure speaking with you both today because you know I love talking money, Black Power economics.
Most definitely.
Um,
Really.
so we are gonna check back in with you guys on a regular basis, right? Because this is a conversation that we definitely need to have every week.
Yes.
And if you're interested in hopping in the war room with us, just drop us a line at the BCP, which is a private
Oh,
Facebook page. So you definitely have to ask Callie, myself. I'm Chris Baldwin on there, and or Doug for an invite, or
yes.
you have to be
Yes.
invited. So
One last
yeah,
thing, Chris. I
go ahead, Callie.
did want to throw out there. Yes, to my contact information on my mail is kkconsulting.la@gmail. And you can reach me at 310-462-0617.
You may want to say that phone number over again because Doug.
Phone number is 310-462-0617 and email kkconsulting.la@gmail.
All right. I appreciate you guys. Look, folks, I want to thank you guys for tuning in today. I am your fight goddess. You can find me on Instagram under Baldwin Legacy, and that's Legaci. Um, and on Blue Sky. I'm Fight Goddess on Blue Sky. But it's been wonderful talking to you both today, and we will see
Thank
you
you,
all
Chris.
next
Pleasure.
go round.
Appreciate it.
Right
Pleasure.
on. Peace, love, and power to the people.
June,
Boom.
June, our next meeting.
Yeah.
That's right. Let's go. Peace, love, and power to the people.